This is Vikast. It's a Viking thing.
Rosslager.
Shield wall!
All of my life, and all of your lives, have come to this point. There is nowhere else to be but here.
No, I always knew I would love these Northmen.
This is Vikast with Clive Standen and Amy Bailey.
And as the King of Wessex and King of Bretwalda, all of England, I order you to listen to Vikast. It's a Viking thing.
The podcast direct from Valhalla.
Hi everyone, I'm George Blagden and I play Athelstan on Vikings, and you should tune into this incredible podcast, Vikast. It's a Viking thing.
This is Vikast.
Hello, I am Alyssa Sutherland, and this is Vikast. It's a Viking thing.
Hi there, this is Kevin Durand. This is Harbor the Wanderer. You're listening to Vikast. This is a Viking thing.
Hey guys, this is Alexander Ludwig here, and this is Vikast. It's a Viking thing.
Hi, I'm Maud Hurst. I play Helga on Vikings, and this is Vikast. It's a Viking thing. Come join us. Skull!
Hi, I'm Clive Standen.
And it's Amy Bailey here.
So here we go. So we are joined by Austin Dillon, who is a three-time NASCAR winning driver. He's made the playoffs 4 times. The Xfinity Series he's won 9 times. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series 7 times. I've seen you, Austin, race live. I'm a massive NASCAR fan, and it's great to actually have you live on Vikast as our guest. And I know you're a massive Vikings fan as well.
I am. I love Vikings, and I'm glad I got to meet you at the race there. I think the first time, maybe Bristol.
Yeah.
A little rainy, then out in Fontana too. So huge fan of the show, and got to hang out with Alexander a couple times, hung out with him in Daytona. So, big fans of the show, and I'm glad everybody kind of coincides with racing and the Vikings show.
It's great as well because the NASCAR itself is, when I met you at the Bristol Motor Speedway, I got to do the pace car around that thing. And it's like a fortress. It's like it's like the Gladiator Arena as well. So you guys are pretty crazy and fearless going out there onto those tracks.
Yeah, Bristol is one of my favorites. Just like you said, we call it the last great Coliseum. When you walk down in there, it has an intensity about it that it lights everybody up and gets us fired up to go race. And you see some chaos, and then when you get to Victory Lane, they give you a gladiator sword, so it's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Fantastic.
Hey, Austin, when did you start watching the show? Did you start watching from the very beginning, or did you discover it late?
I actually started watching it, I think, from the very beginning. History Channel is where it started, I feel like, when I was watching it. And obviously just following Rollo and Ragnar through all the trials and tribulations that they went through and the battles, and just kept up with it and all the way to the end now. So, I've been a big fan. So.
And you yourself, or I was saying to Amy earlier, I think I see you as kind of like the Ragnar of Nascar, because it's not just you being a Vikings fan, but your whole family. The legacy of your family in NASCAR is amazing. Your dad was a driver. Yeah, your grandpa was is the owner of the company that you drive for, the car. Your wife Whitney is kind of almost a kind of born shield maiden herself, and she's a jewelry designer, a model, a reality show star, a blogger, and she turns up to every race as well and is there for you as well. And she's a mother now as well. You guys have got Ace.
Yeah, she is. I'd say for me a shield maiden. She's awesome. So. She crushes it in life when it comes to motherhood, and then just on and off when we're not at the track, and just doing all kinds of her ventures that she does. Yeah, she's a lot of fun, and God picked a great one for me. And she's a great support system. Definitely, I feel like it's key to have that person that kind of lifts you up, and she does that for me. And she watched the show with me. She's a big Lagatha fan. She was also a fan of Ragnar. I don't know how many times I had to hear her say that Ragnar was cute, loved Ragnar's eye.
Well, there you go. You say to Whitney right now then. So I see you as the Ragnar of NASCAR. So she has her Ragnar.
That's right. That's what I like. That makes me feel good, man.
I was going to ask you for who did you identify with the most as far as like your personality, 2-part question. And then also who was your favorite love to hate character?
I liked Uber. Yeah, I felt like he kind of did a little bit of everything, you know what I mean? He dealt with his brothers, and he was the older brother, I feel like, and had to kind of go through different things. And I feel like he did a lot of the things like the way I would want to do, you know what I mean? I don't feel like he ever like betrayed anybody in the wrong way. And, but he was hardcore. Like he had like like if we're going to fight, we're going to fight, you know what I mean? And Ivar was definitely my love to hate, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I mean, how could you not? I mean, the guy's constantly just trying to fight for something, and I don't know, it was just always something I felt like with Ivar. But I loved Ubar. I feel like that I'm talking about Uber and Ivar because that's where I was in the show. Now, if I go back in time, Floki is awesome. I think Floki was epic. You know, his character is special, and the boat builder and him going through everything he had to go through and just like dealing. I feel like it's cool that he had to go through Ragnar and then his sons. Like he just couldn't get out of like the whole time. I feel like he's just wanting to relax, and this shit just keeps coming on him.
And then when he goes to Iceland and discovers that whole new community, and everyone turns against him there as well.
It's crazy. And then they go and I guess they find America, or when at the end, and he's with Uber, and then he sees somebody kind of destroy this perfect place in his mind. And I don't know, it's just a lot with Floki.
Could kind of do everything. He was kind of a wizard, but a warrior.
Tricksy.
Hard to predict, which I liked. Which character do you think, if you were an actor, who would you like to have played?
If I was an actor, who would I like to play? Bjorn, obviously, he had a badass role too. I don't know. I'm mad that Rollo didn't get back into, like, I wanted more of you coming back from like France and like smoking some people. Like, I was ready for the team up. I was ready for the team up with one of the brothers. I feel like you guys could have rolled everything if that ever would have happened. But you were chilling. You were probably just like partying in France, running stuff over there.
I think that's the thing. He's old age, gout, too much women, wine, and good times.
Yeah, you had it made in France. Like, I feel like you did get the like, well, Rollo's just chilling, man. He don't have to worry about it anymore. Yeah. Like, he's getting it right.
Rollo got the special good deal. I feel like that was kind of like, you got to be the hot warrior, then you kind of got to go chill out in France with your hot wife, and it all worked out really well. Good job.
I think Rollo, I mean, we know that Floki and Ube survive at the end, but I think Rollo's the only character that doesn't seem to die. You need to see a character die on screen on a TV show to know he's dead.
Do you know,
so Rollo
Clive?
I do know that when I sat down with Michael, I was going to come back.
Yeah.
It was kind of my fault. It was, I went away from the show for a little bit, but I kind of landed the lead in Taken, the TV series. So I was talking to Michael, and they had, plans for me to come back and do more episodes. And I came back and do those 2 episodes when I come back. But it was meant to be a little bit more than that. I mean, I think Rollo was meant to come back with the army, but that's why we see a scene where the Frankish troops arrive, but Rollo's not with them because my filming schedule wouldn't allow. And I don't think that the TV show was, obviously contracted to do. We're very keen on kind of releasing me because it's such a change, right? I'm playing this guy now with just a little bit of stubble, short hair, and they would have wanted to make me full on Rollo with a beard and everything. And I think it kind of freaked out the Taken producers.
Vincent was another one, love to hate. Like, dude, just
makes the worst choices.
Yeah, like just couldn't finish off like doing the right thing. It was always something with Vincent. Ivar just had so much. He played him like a puppet.
Do you have a favorite scene, Austin? That's like one scene that stands out over all of the seasons.
I'm a huge battle scene. I love the battle. So, I mean, early y'all's battle, like probably one of the opening battles with you and Ragnar in the field there, like those are epic scenes. Like in those, I don't know where you guys filmed that part of it, but like just going at it, like getting after it together.
That scene itself was the very first scene that Travis and I filmed together. And it was directed by incredible director, Johan Renck, who has just won Emmys galore for Chernobyl. And he came in and he selected this incredible location at the top in Lugalore, at the top of a hill, which had just, the mountains and the rivers in the background. And when we got there on the day, it was completely shrouded in mist. And he was kind of having a fit. He was like, oh, this is when we scouted this, it looks amazing. And now we might as well have filmed it in a studio because all you can see is gray mist everywhere. But what happened as we started, so when we started filming, because you just, time is money in shooting, you just have to get on with it.
Yeah.
So we started shooting, it was just mist all around us, which was cool. It was great. But as the battle scene went through the day, then the mist started to clear, and you started to see more of these incredible vistas, and that's what you see on the show as the battle comes to the end and all the ravens come down and Odin appears. Then you just see it. So if anything, it was a happy accident because the mist seemed to just pass just as the battle finished.
That's an epic, that's probably my favorite scene is just the opening one. Like I was hooked from right there, that battle.
And you know what, Austin, because I came on the show a little bit later, and I remember saying to my husband, like, all of my castmates, they are actually really strong and really tough. I picked up I tried to pick up one of the swords or the shields that you guys were using, and I thought they were kind of like, little styrofoam stunt things. What did I know? They're really, like, you guys worked so hard, didn't you, Clive? You were in stunt training and you were busting your ass for real. When I would watch, because I was a princess, so I wasn't in the battles, but I would watch the battles, and they were to watch them, film them, it looked so real. It was amazing. Really, really tough actors. Yeah.
Kind of was, because we didn't really have the stunt doubles that would rehearse and do anything for us. We kind of pretty much had to do it ourselves because there was so many characters, and when you're on the battle scene, we'd learn in the stunt. We'd have this kind of like this old hangar that we'd rehearse all the stunts in. So it was solid concrete with mats, crash mats, and we'd rehearse it all there. But on the day, they say in Ireland the weather is changeable, right? Eddie, one of the drivers, used to pick me up from the airport, has the same joke every time he picked me up for a new season, and he'd be like, "Welcome to Ireland, Clive. Summer's on a Wednesday." And it was raining. It was full of hailstorms and things. So by the time sometimes you get out on the battlefield, it was like a swamp, and you'd be slipping and sliding. So the choreography that you'd learn, you would be on your knees doing it. And the one rule that Franklin and Richard, our stunt coordinators, had is like, if you go wrong, just keep going. Just make something up. Just hit each other in the face. Try and stay safe.
And make like some crazy eyed face too. Like you guys' eyes and like face, like, I mean, you had the best expression.
But you can't put your hand up and go cut, because there's like hundreds of other guys running around behind you. You can't be that guy. The fun would be though sometimes when some of the extras they'd get told the same thing, like, just if you kill the guy you're fighting with, just make yourself busy, just go and attack someone else. And sometimes some of the extras that were new to the show didn't know the characters, so you'd be in the middle of a fight. I'd be in the middle of like fighting some Saxon warrior in a proper kind of like deadly stunt sequence, and then like 4 Saxon extras would come up and start stabbing me with their spears, and like, you can't kill me, I'm Rollo, I don't die in this battle. And they're just like, they just told us to do this. So you're trying to kind of like
but that's what made this shot as you carry on fighting. You guys were it was really messy to watch, which was delightful, because sometimes I hate watching battle scenes because they are too choreographed and tricksy, but you guys were a delightful mess to watch.
And the Shield Maidens are great. All the queens, like everything. The show just gave you so much.
This is Vikast. It's a Viking thing.
Hey everyone, I'm Austin Dillon, and you're listening to Vikast, and you know that Vikings is my favorite show ever, so you better tune in and listen up.
You're very family orientated, which is fantastic. And a lot of the NASCAR drivers are, and that's what I love about NASCAR. It really is, for the whole family. I want to ask you what it's like growing up in a family like that, when there's so much, maybe I'd imagine, pressure on following in the family tradition. You followed after your father. Will Ace, if he turns around and starts driving a little go-kart or something, you're going to push him forwards, to be a part of the family legacy? And how much pressure came from your own father, and how much do you feel that if your son does decide to want to get into racing, how much you'll actually have to explain to him the sacrifices you made and how hard it is, and to push him in a healthy way?
Yeah, for sure. And it's cool that you say that, because it really is about family. In our organization at RCR, we have like a railroad track that kind of separates the road that you come across. And when you come across that track, like it's family. We kind of fight together on the racetrack, and all the employees here, most of them, we've gotten up to about 500 employees, down to 300, and we just kind of go up and down on whether our sport, wherever it is. So we're at a pretty good time right now, and our family's pretty big. And when it comes to working with my grandfather, every race, he's kind of our, matriarch. He's there. He shows up on time and ready to go to work, and he's kind of my hero because, at his age, he doesn't have to go to the racetrack and watch these race cars go round and round, but he chooses to. He loves the competition of it. My dad is the one that pushes me, and obviously I take the most from when it comes to someone that's honest around me with how I'm doing on the race car. So we all work together. We all fight together. There's definitely some epic arguments on the plane rides home sometimes, which direction we're going with the company. But it's all good. We know that we're here for one common goal, and that's to win races and make RCR one of the best racing organizations out there. And it's a cool family atmosphere here at RCR. And I think most of the teams in NASCAR kind of look at us as the family-run organization, and we use that as fuel when we go to the track.
That's amazing.
And talking about legacy as well, I mean, the legacy you have in yourself. I mean, your granddad gave you the number 3 car as well, which was Dale Earnhardt's car for all those years, and he is the super legend of NASCAR. I mean, there comes a responsibility with great power comes great responsibility, and you get to drive that car. I mean, what does that feel like? And locking yourself into that car every time on the track.
Well, it's special, I mean, I definitely got to drive it kind of through the ranks of NASCAR and the Truck Series and Xfinity Series, and when it came to running the Cup Series. You knew that there was, in sports, you have both worlds. You got people that love something or they hate something. That's what we love about sports, because you get to choose a side. You get to pick a side and pull for them. And I was very fortunate to have a lot of fans that were happy to see me in the number 3, and then also the part that didn't want to see that. But I've come to really, enjoy that and enjoy the sport of it and respect it. And for me, it was all about just adding to the legacy of the number 3. Obviously, Dale Earnhardt made it famous, and the relationship between Dale Earnhardt and my grandfather is very special to me. It's something that I try and build my friendships around, to create a lasting memory, and they were able to do that and create history together. So anytime we go to Victory Lane in that 3 car, it means a lot to me, because we're just kind of adding to the history of all the great drivers that driven before it, but most importantly, Dale Earnhardt. So at this point, in my career, I've been able to win a Daytona 500 and some cool races, but we just want to keep adding to that. Like you said, my buddy Paul, he's on our team. He's one of my pit crew, and we just keep wanting to, add to the history of RCR. And you mentioned Ace. If he wants to race, we'll definitely support him in that path one day. But I'm going to push him to play and do everything, because I was kind of pushed to do other sports too. I mean, I was thankful that my parents pushed me to play baseball, basketball, football, and I think I was able to take some of those things that I learned as a kid playing other sports and bring it to the team atmosphere that we have in our team now.
When does a little one start training? I mean, how do you start training a 2-year-old to race cars?
Yeah. Well, so I think, there's guys, girls and guys, starting at young ages now. Go-karts is where you start. I've heard young as 6 years old. Wow. Some are even littler. They put restrictors on the go-karts, and there's a track not too far from here in North Carolina. North Carolina is like the hub. Like, you have Nashville for country music. Charlotte area is kind of the hub for racing for us. Most all your race car drivers live here in Charlotte, Lake Norman area. And there's a couple local tracks that a bunch of the drivers' kids are at right now that are in that age group from 6 to 8 or even younger out there running around. But, for me, Ace being 9 months old, we watch Disney's Pixar Cars, big Cars fans right now. I think I've memorized every word in that movie so far. Huge Lightning McQueen fan. But yeah, if they want to go race, you try and give them the best opportunity when that time comes in a go-kart.
When you're in the actual car, do you have any other thoughts? Are you just solely focused? Do you get nervous? Are you just like looking ahead at the road, or are you thinking of your shopping as well? Or
yeah, I got to stay as focused as possible. I guess just like an actor delivering his lines, if you're thinking about something else, you're just gonna lose where your train of thought is. But I definitely, over a 4.5 hour period, your mind wanders about certain things and caution time. I was talking during the red flag we had this week, I actually asked about the Masters finish. I was like, hey, who won the Masters under the red flag? So I got an update on that. But usually it's solely focused on the job and the task at hand, especially when we're green flag. I don't want to be thinking about something that made me mad earlier in the race and just takes me off course of what we're trying to accomplish that day.
How does it feel though? On like, do you have a routine? I mean, do you like, if I was to make this like a Vikings, do you have a battle routine? Do you have a kind of any superstitions, anything on the morning of a race before you go to the track? Is there anything you kind of find yourself doing every time? And then obviously when you just 10 minutes before you get into that car and lock yourself in and get in the zone, is there anything you do? And also, the day after, if you win, if it's a good day or a bad day, just talk us through kind of that kind of like weekend of NASCAR, like what actually happens in the.
Actually, one sport that I'm a huge sports fan in general, but I feel like our sport gave more access than any other sport that you could get access to. I mean, I had friends, buddies, sponsors, and fans all around me up until the time I shut the window net on the car and cranked the engine. Even in the national anthem, I mean, there's fans standing around us if they have the correct passes. You don't go to NBA game or NFL game and stand beside Tom Brady before the national anthem. It just doesn't happen. So for me, it was really key to know how to just kind of live in that moment because we were constantly doing stuff. Things are happening. I had a schedule and obligations leading up to the race. I was there, but I really wasn't there. I knew in the back of my head what my job was going into the race. And so if I had a conversation with you, it might have been a decent conversation, but it probably wasn't all what I was thinking. I'm trying two things at once usually on race day. And now I've actually enjoyed a little, not in a good way, but since COVID, we don't have the same obligations that we've had in the past. So the focus is a little different. Like I can I have more time to think leading up to the race. And then when race time comes around, I literally just walk to the car. There's nothing in my way and I'm going to get in the car. And definitely, I feel like for me, it's been a good thing. And I kind of, when everything goes back to normal, I'm going to try and channel more of that because the performance on track, I think has been better for myself and my team and a little less outside distractions. But that's also what's great about our sport. So you can't do away with it, but you just got to know that, all right, I have a job to do and here's what I do. Now, as far as routines, I used to have different superstitions. I wore certain cowboy boots for a long time.
Well, while you were racing, the cowboy boots down.
Leading up to the race, the day of the race. So I had the lucky cowboy boots, and then I'd have a bad race and I'd chunk them. So that got expensive, and I just kind of wear whatever now. I don't have any superstitions. My grandfather, on the other hand, man, he has so many racing superstitions. He doesn't believe that there should be peanuts on the truck and trailer.
Why?
Yeah, no peanuts are allowed. I don't really understand the peanut one. He thinks $50 bills are unlucky. They still cash out. I don't know, but $50 bills in your wallet day of the race, no good. Many different superstitions when it comes to him. He doesn't really care for green on the race car unless it's a sponsored part of the car.
That's hilarious.
I'm sure there was a really bad day with some peanuts once upon a time.
Exactly, yeah. If he sees peanuts sitting in the trailer before the race and they're just sitting there, he'll just rake them off into the trash can.
What? That's kind of like Mariah Carey with her no yellow M&Ms or something. Doesn't she have a clause in her contract about that?
That's funny.
Wow.
But what about when you win? Like that Daytona race was incredible. It came down to the last couple of laps, and there was a big wreck, and you came in, and it was just an incredible race. I watched it. I wish I was there live. I watched it at home. And you got the checkered flag, and it was incredible. So I mean, can you talk us through what it feels like when all of that work pays off, and you just, it's your day?
Well, it's electric. I mean, there are memories that you never forget. Dreamlike, especially for us at Daytona. So much had happened there for our organization. I've been to victory lane there with Dale Earnhardt. We lost Dale there. Been to victory lane there with Kevin Harvick. And then I flipped and tore down the fence there. My grandfather experienced that. And then we came back and won. So, just so many emotions. And I feel like that's a place that just creates memories for NASCAR. And we start off our year with that race, and it's really our Super Bowl. So when you win at a place like that, it just, that memory, I remember looking in the mirror coming across the line, like looking up in the mirror and then looking forward and seeing the checkered flag. And I'll never forget that. And
wow.
Getting to do the burnout experience. So, and we partied really hard that night, kind of like a Viking style party. Yeah. You win the battle.
And then obviously you brought it up then as well, that you have this monster crash at Daytona as well, which, talking about going to battle and, seeing Valhalla in front of you. I mean, I've seen that crash. So hopefully we might be able to show a clip on Vikast as well, so the fans can see it. But, your car was going top speed. You got hit by a car. You flipped over 2 rows of cars, over the sidewall, into the catch fence. By the time you land on the asphalt, the car is, I can't even remember the wheels being on the car. I mean, it looked like just the shell of just the roll cage. And then there was one more car that came by, smacked you and span you around a few times.
Right.
I mean, but what does it feel? I mean, can you remember when, I mean, I want to know, like, is it instinct? I mean, does instinct take over, or do you just seize up? I mean, what goes through your mind because they all seem to happen so quickly, these wrecks?
Yeah. And it's funny. Everybody says they happen quick, and it kind of slows down. When you get used to going that fast, when you lose that much traction, you're just kind of flying through the air. And funny part, like, you hear the Ricky Bobby movie, like Talladega Nights, and he's like, I'm flying through the air right now. I mean, it's really kind of like that. I mean, I'm flying through the air and I'm like, this is not good. Like, I knew it was bad because I was like inverted going into the fence. And at that point, I just closed my eyes and tucked everything up in a ball. Was fortunate that, good Lord looked after us. The safety equipment that NASCAR had, everything just kind of came around us. But that last hit was the only one that really bothered me because I had already relaxed. I thought the wreck was over. I'm laying on my roof, sliding down through there. Okay. I still feel everything. Nothing's weird feeling. And then the guy comes in there. It was Brad, like late, and just KOs me again in the back. I'm like, when is this going to end? You know what I mean?
Oh, my God. Was Whitney there watching?
Actually, we had just started talking. So the next weekend was her first race she got to come to, was in Kentucky. It was funny because we were talking, and I texted her, and it was a late race. It was like ended like 2 a.m. I texted her next morning, and I was like, hey, I'm all good. And she was like, oh, did you win? And she had already gone to bed because it was like 2 a.m. And I was like, no, not necessarily. Turn on the news. It was on every news station because we had just like knocked the fence down. Because
that's something to be the spouse or the other half of someone who has such an incredibly dangerous sport or profession. I mean, she must be a real Viking, because I don't know how she keeps her nerves about her watching you every single race, knowing that that's a possibility.
Talking about real Viking though as well, Austin kind of came out of the car and he was just like, what's that, Jester? That was like, shush down. I'm fine.
Yeah. You know what? That movie, I had watched 8 Seconds that week, and it's based off of Lane Frost. When he would ride a bull, he would come up and go like this with his hands. And so I had seen the movie, just that, and that's why I did the Lane Frost wave. If you haven't seen 8 Seconds, it's a good one. But yeah, so yeah, the women of our sport, drivers' wives, mothers, all of them, they know what they're getting into with us when we're going out there and racing every weekend. NASCAR's brought the sport a long way, and the safety's definitely gone up, but you just know that anything can happen because you're going at a high rate of speed at some of these places each and every weekend.
Do you think that crash that you experienced and walked out with your hands waving, do you think that's the most Viking thing you've ever done in your life?
Definitely felt a little bit like superhuman after that one, because looking back on it, it's just a crazy crash, and it actually probably gave me some confidence in the equipment the next couple of weeks. Like every now and then I always felt like it made me a better race car driver when I hit the wall. Like when you kind of forget what it feels like to crash, it's like, man, is this going to hurt the next time? And then you do it. It's like, oh, it's not bad. So the next couple races are like, let's go get it. Like nothing can bother you.
But they say like you don't really know how to ride a horse until you've fallen off. I mean, I suppose you don't really know how to kind of drive a NASCAR until you slam into the wall.
And now that I'm older, I'm like, you know what? I don't need to test it anymore. I'm good. I don't need a check. I don't need a rain check, to make sure it still hurts.
That's a very particular personality though, to crash and then to be like, yeah, okay, now I want to go more and faster and better after I've crashed. That's amazing.
But just before we finish on talking about the crashes as well, because we've got so much other stuff we'd love to talk to you about. But with the crashes, when you're on the track and you're racing around at top speed and you've got the spotters above you who are telling you left, right, and you're up, down and trying to tell you what's around you, how much notice do you get when things do go mad? I mean, if something happens behind you or in front of you, do you get spotters kind of seeing, or do they see it like a second before you anyway?
Well, it depends on what track. We're talking about speedways earlier, and that's where you see some of the big wrecks. And the spotters are so key at the speedways now, Talladega and Daytona, because they can see more than what you can see. And they're also kind of telling you where the momentum is. And I try and find that momentum as much as possible. So I trust in that guy. And when I need to make a split-second decision, I have to trust that I'm clear because – yeah, I can look in my mirror and make that call on my own, but he's kind of affirming that to me. And so that communication between myself and my spotter is really key. And I feel like he does a really good job right now. And he's kind of like an air traffic controller. He's trying to put out as much information as possible for me to take in and make the best adjustment on the track. So I worked with Brandon, my spotter, for a while now, and he does a really good job of just putting out a lot of information and then giving me what I need when I need it. He also keeps me calm when I get fired up in there because that happens too.
Yeah, but all these drivers, Amy, when you go to the track, you go to the drivers' meet, they're all really good friends, right? You guys, it's not like, you see these boxes right now and things like that, and they get in each other's faces, and it's half of that's for show too. But there really is, there's testosterone going on. There is a rivalry sometimes between a lot of these fighters. But with the drivers, you guys seem to all be pretty buddy. But on the track, you do see tempers flare. You see people kind of lose it out there and stuff. I mean, are all bets off when you're actually on the track? Is everyone just a car? And if any, do people have grudge matches and that just solely happen on the track and it's all said and done once as you?
Well, because you race your brother. You race your brother as well, right? So how does that work? How does Ragnar and Rollo, how do they race each other on the track?
I've come out on top of most of those, but I'll say that, you learn to drive each other with respect.
Such a Ragnar thing to say.
And you learn to drive each other with respect, and certain people you have more respect for than others just because they might not have done you the way you would race them. You know what I mean? And that's the key saying is like race someone you want to be raced the way you want to be raced. But the other thing is like, there's definitely people that I don't really care for that I have to race against. So I'm not going to race them the best, obviously. And they're probably not going to race me the best because they might not like me. We just don't have the relationship that a friend would. But that was one thing that made NASCAR so famous is the rivalries, the battles, and bringing your friends to the track. You know what I mean? That was a big thing. Like it's like when you went to the track, you bring your own friends to the track. We don't have friends at the track. Some of that has changed over the years. Definitely have relationships with some of the drivers that you like and you get along with because we're around each other so long. You're going to bump heads from time to time, but we also got to go see each other the following weekend. Like it never fails. You have a dust up with someone and you'll have to have an appearance with them the next week. And it's like, all right, got to be with this guy this weekend. How's this going to act? So it happens.
And there are little tricks and to get back and the little nudges and there's the inside tricks that you can go to kind of get revenge, so to speak. Yeah. Because Rollo always looks for revenge. So
yep, we have those tricks of the trade from time to time that like there's a couple guys too that you just know that all right, this guy's gonna be hard to pass today. Like I bumped a guy at Martinsville and I was like, darn it, I didn't mean to bump him. I just missed the corner a little bit and I knew he was gonna make it so hard to pass for the next 20 laps, even though my car was better. And you start to find tendencies in each player.
Now, what about teammates as well? I mean, do your teammates do you have each other's back, or are you just your teammates in every element apart from on the actual track, race day? Yeah,
you try and work with your teammates better than everyone else. Obviously we're trying to make our cars better, and you need that now with no practice. With the way COVID is, you don't have any practice. So if he's got something that's working for him that weekend, you try and use those notes for the following weekend. If you got a car that's faster and you're catching him, you hope that he gives you a little help when you get to him, because air is such a big key partner in what slows us down. If you have someone dirty in the air in front of your car, it's like driving behind a tractor trailer on the highway. It just moves you around, makes it harder for that guy to pass you. So we try and work with each other as best as possible, but there's definitely rivalry, and that pushes us to be better inside the organization. You want to beat the other one, but most of all, we need to beat everybody that weekend.
And do you study each other? I mean, like in a battle scenario, you study your opponent. You know how they work. You know how they fight on the track. Do you study the other drivers so you can get a sense of, I know he's going to more likely go, he's going to bank up now, or he's going to do this, and then to go with that question, your own brother, because I'm fascinated by the Ragnar and the brother rivalry through life. I mean, if you race with someone all the time, do you tend to know exactly how they race? You can just predict what they're going to do next.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, that's something I try and learn and keep in the back of my mind when I'm catching certain people. I mean, obviously the best drivers are the ones that are unpredictable. Hard to predict which direction they're going to go. But there's certain guys that are good, but you still know that they're never going to move this line. So you can take advantage of that because it's kind of a weakness. And you try not to put yourself in that to show any weakness. But, my brother, he was always a guy, like when I would get to him, depending on his spotter, when he changed spotter, it was a little harder to read, but I knew that he would change line when I would get to him. So I had to run the different line than I was running no matter what when I got to him, because he was going to change it to where I was. So I could kind of time that and make a difference. Certain guys, they won't run the top. They're just running the bottom, or they'll only run the top and won't run the bottom. And for a corner, you can take advantage of that and try and use it to your advantage to run a different line and pass them quick.
Is there competition for the best spotters? Are these sort of like, needle in a haystack people you want to find and keep?
For sure, yeah. There's always competition trying to keep a good spotter. I was very fortunate. I listened to my spotter. We had where we could go back and listen to everybody's spotter, like a recordings. And I could just hear his voice and listening to it. And I was like, man, this guy, he gets a lot out fast, and it's the same tone. And I wanted that tone to be as calm as possible, because I'm already a fiery guy. You put two fiery people together, it doesn't mix. And so got together with him and was able to get him. But I mean, I feel like we've got one of the best ones out there in Brandon.
And then I did the pace car drive at Bristol Motor Speedway, and that bank is super steep. I was driving 60 miles an hour in that pace car, and it felt like almost the car was going to tip over. So what's it feel like to racing around there, like 150 miles an hour or plus?
Yeah, with the banking, like you're talking about, it's very steep, and it's cool because you're constantly just, when you have a bad day at Bristol, you can't get out of the way because there's 40 cars on a small track, and they're from top to bottom. Everybody moves around and chases the rubber, and like you said, if you're not going fast enough, you literally feel like you're going to fall off the banking. So cautions are a little odd there, but once you get going green, you just get in a rhythm and you try and keep that rhythm going and not get out of it, because if you get out of it, it's not a good place to make a mistake.
Once all is said and done in racing, once you kind of hang up your helmet and you kind of just want to, your time has come and you don't feel like you can give your best anymore, what would you choose to be if you were back in like the Viking times? Are you more akin to being like the raider, someone who's just extreme sports and you want to keep going with that kind of thing, or the farmer, you just want to sit there on your farm and settle, or the king? Which one do you most kind of like identify with?
That's tough, man. I'm a big mixture of farmer and king maybe, but like I love to hunt and fish. So I'm a big outdoorsman. Bass Pro Shop's one of my sponsors. So I actually was turkey hunting yesterday. So I like the hunting, fishing, and the farming. I got land that I live on now. So I live on 60 acres. And so I think I'd probably relate the most with farming. Like I feel like I've been in front of large groups of people a lot over time. And at that point in time, it'd be more about just enjoying family and friends and getting out there. Who was the character? I was just thinking about this. I think in your scene, like, the Christian warrior.
Oh, are you to Jonathan Rhys-Meyers' character, Bishop Headland?
What was it?
Is it Bishop Headland? Jonathan Rhys-Meyers.
Yes. Yeah. Bishop Headland. Like, he's crazy in those first, his first scene. You're like, whoa. what's going on here? And then as it goes on, like he gets torn because him and Lag used to have a thing too, right?
So you've got like the warrior with some zen and family man mixed in. That's a pretty all-rounded character. That's a good one.
Yeah, he was just torn. He's a beast on the battlefield too. But yeah, so farmer would be my choice.
What do you do when you're not racing? Is there got any other hobbies? You mentioned basketball, I heard.
Yeah, hunting, fishing, basketball. Actually, last week we were playing pickup basketball, and one of my buddies blew out a knee. Ooh. So I don't know how long I'm probably done with the basketball for a little while. That was not a good experience. And he was by himself. That was the bad part. Like I figure like if somebody's gonna get hurt, it's gonna be somebody getting undercut, but it was just a random accident. So
oh no.
Basketball probably put it on the back burner. Playing a lot of golf now.
But what's your workout routine? Do you have to do a lot of working out then as a NASCAR driver? You were mentioning when you came on Vikast that you'd just done a workout, but is that important do you have to be at a certain weight and things when you're in those cars? Does weight affect the kind of driving? It sounds like a silly question.
No, it's a great question. No, we weigh in at the beginning of the year and at the halfway mark, and there's a different weight break for each driver. So the heavier you are, you get pretty much less weight in your car.
Right.
Or you get to put more lead low is the brake. You know what I mean? And because you want the weight in the car to be as low as possible. It helps. Right. And so you get weight breaks at different weights. And then so like if you're heavy, you get less.
The Rollo in me as well. When I did I got to do the pace car again at Phoenix, and when I was in the truck, the pace truck, then I started thinking you guys were all right up my ass, and you were like bumping me. I think Kevin Harvick gave me a bump, and it's really, really intimidating when I'm there and I can look out of my wing mirrors and I can see you guys revving up and getting ready, and you're all just jockeying for to hold your position. I was actually thinking, what would happen, being Rollo, if I just stalled the car deliberately, smashed into the back of Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick was out of the wet race. Is there actually a rule for that? Is there a rule for if a pace car takes out a driver? What happens?
No, but that would be next time you're the pace car driver and I need help, I'm just gonna radio in. It'd be your last time as pace car driver.
It would be my last time. I mean, I've already done it twice. I mean, third time lucky, right? You see what I'm asking? I'm saying we could have a little Ragnar Rollo thing going on here. I could just conveniently stall the pace car just before I'm going to leave the track and take out Denny Hamlin and Harvick and that, and then Austin Dillon number 3 car just zoom straight ahead.
Oh, a little bit differently, but like qualifying and then road courses for me, I definitely try and visualize the point that I want to turn into a corner or where I want to be when I get to a certain place, and then shifting because I have to hit certain shifts if it's a long road course. So you might shift 15, 16 times over a lap. So going over that, like a clean lap in your head is pretty key. I'm sure as actors, you guys go over your lines in your head. You have all kinds of different ways that.
Yeah, well, I was thinking actually in stunts as well. Mm-hmm. I have to do that. I visualize when I do a stunt sequence, even when you've learned it, it's like there's always that kind of, because the problem with stunts and acting is the difference is that in acting you have to be completely in the moment. You have to just whatever gets thrown at you, whichever way Amy says her line, have to respond to in the moment. Whereas in stunts you need to be like almost two steps ahead of yourself, otherwise you get a metal sword cleaved into your head. So you've got to kind of keep visualizing what's happening just so you kind of feel like you can be as close to the moment as possible.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You have to be there. Yeah. Because if you let that go away, the key to it is obviously reacting like you didn't know it was coming. But your brain is working 10 times faster trying to visualize what's coming next.
It's like being a mom, Clive. You have to always think ahead because you might be attacked at any moment, but don't show fear.
This is Vikast. It's a Viking thing. With Clive Standen and Amy Bailey. Follow the Vikings on Vikast Official.